First up, we're in Dayton Municipal Court in Ohio for a bench trial. Judge Mia Spells presiding. 55-year-old Anthony Matthews has been charged with driving on a suspended license. Matthews considers himself a sovereign citizen, someone who believes that certain laws don't apply to him. And as the trial begins, it's clear that he's not planning on playing by the rules.
I demand that you dismiss this matter immediately.
Matthews has already filed several motions aimed at challenging the court's authority over him, but the judge isn't swayed.
Let me explain to you the rules here in the court. Let me explain to you the rules of the court, sir.
I'm not here to take part in fraud. Not at all.
Judge Spells warns Matthews that by continuing to interrupt her, he's pushing his luck with the court.
You can be found in contempt if you continue to interrupt me. We'll proceed with trial with you in abstention, sir, and we're going to find you in contempt. What I'm going to do is give you...
That's the record. The court intends use coercion to...
You're interrupting the proceedings of the court, sir, and it is direct contempt. It is direct contempt, and we're going to take you into custody, sir. We will give you a hearing, and we'll have the hearing. We will find counsel for you.
As deputies close in on Matthews, tensions reach a boiling point.
Don't touch her. Don't touch her, man. Don't touch her. Don't touch her. I'm not. Don't touch her. Don't touch her.
As Matthews squares off against the deputy, two off-duty police officers in the jury box get up to help detain him.
Don't touch me! Don't touch me! I'm not! Don't touch me! Don't touch me!
One of them throws several punches at Matthews. As Judge Spells and courtroom staff clear the area.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
More deputies pile into the courtroom as Matthews is taken to the ground.
I got him.
In total, 6 people are involved in taking Matthews down. After several minutes and 2 pairs of handcuffs, Matthews is escorted out of the courtroom. The following day, Matthews appears again before Judge Spells to answer for the contempt of court charge. He's still representing himself, but this time he has a new attitude.
Yesterday's proceeding was in error on my behalf. I take full blame for my actions.
The court believes the conduct of Mr. Matthews severely threatened the integrity of the court and its proceedings, and such that immediate action was necessary.
Judge Spells sentenced Matthews to a year of probation and time served for both the driving on a suspended license and contempt of court charges. But he was also charged with 2 counts of assault on a peace officer and 1 count of obstructing official business as a result of his scuffle with the court deputies and other court officials. He remains free awaiting trial on those charges.
You are in contempt, Mr. Tertelgate?
No, I'm not.
Be quiet right now. I will have you arrested.
Law, Stormy.
We're in Eureka, Montana, and the man wearing the no hunting or trespassing sign around his neck is Ernie Tertelgate, Montana's proverbial sovereign citizen, better known as the natural living man. The 57-year-old's in court today representing himself on charges of driving with a suspended license and obstructing a peace officer during his arrest. But now, after Tertelgate interrupted proceedings during jury selection, Judge Stormy Langston holds him in contempt of court.
You are in contempt, Mr. Tertelgate?
No, I'm not.
Be quiet right now.
You are
I will
in
have you
contempt of
arrested.
law, Stormy. You're in contempt of law. I'm standing for my
Officer
country's
Hines,
constitution, my
take
country's
Mr.
people.
Tertelgate into custody, please.
And I'm not keeping hands off me, Clint.
As security attempts to remove Tertelgate, town attorney Clifton Hayden keeps one of his supporters at bay.
We understand. Keep your hands off of me. Keep your hands off of me. Keep your hands off of me. Clinton Hines, you are guilty of conducting a military crime of foreign war. I'm an officer of justice.
Just as it looks like Tertelgate is being escorted out, he isn't. Tertelget is almost out of the courtroom when he grabs the doorway and pushes back against the officer.
What are we doing? Back off. Leave me alone, Clinton.
As the somewhat awkward wrestling match continues, Tertelget's supporters add commentary.
This man
Leave me alone.
deserved this. Leave me alone. Unconstitutional.
He hasn't done any wrong.
So I'm gonna get hurt.
Why has no one been able to tell him what wrong he's done?
Doing me harm.
Why has no one been able to tell him what wrong he's done?
Back off! Are you getting in it?
I'm backing off. Respect me.
From the floor, Tertelget continues the sovereign citizen argument that the court doesn't hold jurisdiction over him.
When I comply, it will not be because contract is established.
When Tertelget finally gets handcuffed, one of his supporters addresses Judge Langston.
Your Honor, can I ask a question without getting contempt for?
What is your question, sir?
My question is what did Ernie do wrong? What did he do wrong?
He's not following the procedure and
The court has no jurisdiction.
What are the procedures to follow? The Constitution.
The court has no jurisdiction. This court has never answered for one thing.
Okay, at the very least, the common rules of being civil in a civil society.
Can we hold that officer as standstill,
Remove
please,
my
right now?
materials. All these people here.
No, you don't.
Listen, all these people, remove my materials. Get my hat, my Constitution.
Following the incident, Ernie Tertelget was found guilty of contempt of court, but served no jail time. He was also charged with assaulting a peace officer. That case is still pending. As for his original charge of driving with a suspended license, he was also found guilty, but again served no jail time. The charge of obstructing a peace officer was dismissed.
Get out of the vehicle! Get out now!
Next, we go to a preliminary hearing in Chattanooga, Tennessee. The defendant is 38-year-old Gregory Parker. He's been charged with reckless endangerment, driving with a revoked license, resisting arrest, and a number of other charges. 4 months earlier, Parker was driving on a Tennessee highway when State Trooper Dale Herring clocked him going 91 miles per hour in a 65 zone. After a few minutes, the officer catches up to him.
It's a red Chevy pickup with ladders on top. Not yet. I believe he's looking for a safe place to pull over.
Officer Herring remains calm, thinking the driver is about to pull over.
221, we're approaching Broad, 18 miles an hour. At stoplight.
After a couple of miles, Parker comes to a stop at a traffic light. He's also been live streaming the incident over social media.
Well, I'm being pulled over. Got a Tennessee Highway Patrol behind me.
Hey, get out!
The officer approaches the vehicle, and he's all business.
Get out of the vehicle! Get out now! Get out of the vehicle now! Get out of the vehicle now!
Herring's in no mood for conversation.
Get out of the vehicle now! Emergency, brother! Get out of the vehicle now!
Emergency! Why are you jerking on me? What's the problem?
You have any weapons on you?
What's the problem?
Put that cell phone down! Why are you doing this? Put your hands behind your back!
What's the emergency? What crime have I committed?
You didn't stop!
I was trying to find a safe place to pull off, brother.
You didn't stop. You passed up plenty.
The officer brings Parker to his feet and gives him the news.
You're under arrest.
Do you have a warrant for my arrest?
You're under arrest.
For what?
For not stopping.
Parker was arrested and released on $60,000 bond. He arrives at his preliminary hearing with his camera rolling, and things are off to a rough start.
Go that way. Go that way.
Don't be pushing on me.
Go this way.
Why are you assaulting me? Get your hands off of me.
Sir, move out the
I did
way.
not consent with this bullshit anyhow. Don't be pushing me around. Before I cross this bar, I waive no rights and I retain all my rights.
Parker barely acknowledges the authority of the court or the judge. His legal arguments are ones commonly used by sovereign citizens, a group who believes certain laws don't apply to them.
I don't have an attorney. I have no need for one.
The judge provides Parker with a public defender who will act only as an armchair attorney. Parker will handle the questioning of Officer Herring himself. He asks Herring a number of seemingly irrelevant questions, perhaps hoping to confuse the officer.
When did you come to the determination I was driving?
When I got behind you and you're behind the wheel of the vehicle.
I think that's been answered, sir. You can ask your next question.
Do you know the difference between driving and traveling?
I'm going to object to that question because it's irrelevant under the state law.
That's completely irrelevant.
I'll sustain the objection. You may ask your next question.
Who is the victim in this situation?
I'm going to object to the relevance of that.
Sustain. That is not relevant. You may ask your next question, sir.
Finally, after realizing his tactics don't seem to be working, Parker calls it quits.
I ain't playing y'all's game no more. Go ahead, do what you do.
After hearing from both sides, the judge makes her decision on whether the case will move forward.
I find that there's probable cause to believe that all these crimes were committed, and they were committed by this defendant here in this county. And I will bind these cases over to the grand jury.
Parker's pled not guilty, and his trial is pending. If convicted on all charges, he could spend 20 years in prison.
I ain't playing y'all's game no more.
Next, we're in Adrian, Michigan for a virtual sentencing hearing. The defendant is a sovereign citizen named Robert Mattson, who previously appeared before Judge Michael Olsaver after police found cocaine and an open alcohol container in his car during a traffic stop. His public defender negotiated a deal where Mattson would plead guilty to reduced charges and be set free until sentencing. But it did not exactly go as planned.
Mr. Mattson, would you raise your right hand, please?
If I'm not going to get out today, there's no deal. We got trial Friday. I'm just going to trial. I want to make sure that I'm going to be released, so I'm not going to take the plea today.
Ultimately, Mattson's lawyer convinced him to take the deal being offered that day, and he was set free on a no-fee bond. 3 months later, he's back in Judge Olsaver's court for sentencing. And rather than simply hearing what his punishment is, Mattson is ready to argue his case all over again.
So we are on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Robert Joseph Mattson.
Judge, I think the court's making a big mistake here.
Mr. Mattson, we had discussed these issues, and ultimately you pled guilty of your own choice. And so I'm going to sentence you on that charge today.
I don't feel that I've had a fair chance. I have not relinquished any sovereign immunities that I have with the courts ever since I even started with the court, because the court, the only one I've ever taken an oath to is God Almighty himself. One lawgiver, one creator, one judge. That's God Almighty. That's who I recognize.
All right, the recommendation from your probation officer is that you serve 1 year of probation. I think under normal circumstances, that would be an adequate recommendation with he's gone.
Mattson has dropped out of the virtual hearing with no warning. His lawyer and a probation officer try to call him, but he's gone to a doctor's appointment. The judge has had enough.
If we don't have any contact from Mr. Mattson by the end of the day to finish this sentencing, I'm going to issue a bench warrant for his arrest, and we will finish the sentencing from the Lenawee County Jail.
2 hours later, Mattson logs back into the virtual courtroom, and the judge picks up where he left off, with a couple of requests of Mattson.
Mr. Mattson, we are in a court proceeding right now, and so I'm going to ask you not to eat anything and to remove your hood. Ultimately, Mr. Mattson, I'm going to give you a chance at probation, which includes restrictions on alcoholic beverages and substance use. If you choose not to comply, then I am going to be imposing jail time And I'll just tell you now, it'll be a short leash because it will be the sentence of the court that you serve a period of probation for 1 year. Do you understand that, Mr. Mattson?
Yes, I do.
Judge Olsaver sends Mattson to speak to the probation officer, and the matter is closed, as long as Mattson follows his probation requirements. Thanks for being a fan of CourtCam. Subscribe to A&E to never miss a new video and catch full episodes on aetv.com.